Taehyung and Jungkook say it was just a coincidence. But what if everything that happened behind closed doors wasn't a coincidence at all? What would you do if you were in the same room, witnessing something the public was never meant to see? This is what was reported by a staff member, an insider who chose to stay silent
Until now.
and what they saw inside that private jet changed everything. Thousands of feet above the ground, where the world could no longer watch, Taehyung and Jungkook showed a completely different side. The moment the cabin door closed, everything changed. No more cameras, no more rules, no more distance. And the first thing the staff noticed, they never separated. Even with plenty of seats available, they still chose to sit side by side. Close. Too close to be just friends. It wasn't once, not twice, but every single flight, as if something kept pulling them together, something that couldn't be explained. And then, something happened that made the staff exchange glances. Taehyung slowly rested his head on Jungkook's shoulder, without hesitation, without looking around. And Jungkook? He didn't pull away. He wrapped an arm around him instead, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. No acting, no pretending, just comfort. But the most surprising part was only just beginning. When the food was served, something unusual happened. They didn't eat separately. They shared. From the same plate, Jungkook fed Taehyung, slowly, carefully, as if every small detail mattered. And Taehyung just smiled. A smile that, according to the staff, they had never seen on stage. At that moment, one of the staff even paused, because the atmosphere inside the cabin changed. Warmer, quieter, more intimate. And that wasn't all. Soft teasing could be heard. Their laughter filled the space. Not the kind of laughter meant for cameras. This was different. This was real. Taehyung began teasing Jungkook, and within seconds, they were laughing together and ended up in an embrace.
Yes, an embrace.
In front of the staff, without trying to hide it. Some of the staff even admitted they didn't know whether to look or look away, because what was happening in front of them felt too personal. But the peak came when night fell. The cabin lights dimmed, and the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Under the same blanket, Taehyung and Jungkook began to whisper. No one could hear, no one knew, but everyone could feel. This wasn't an ordinary conversation. And then, silence. A few seconds that felt incredibly long. Then a touch.
Soft.
Gentle.
As if time had stopped just for them.
A passing staff member immediately looked down. Not because they were told to, but because they knew they were witnessing something not meant for them. And just when you thought it couldn't get more surprising, turbulence hit. The plane shook. The lights flickered slightly. And, without thinking, Jungkook instantly pulled Taehyung into his arms.
Quick.
Instinctive. Protective. As if the world could fall apart. But that one person must never be touched by harm. And Taehyung? He didn't resist. He leaned in. Closer. That moment left some of the staff completely speechless. Because no one can fake a reaction like that. It's impossible. As time passed, they eventually fell asleep. But even in their sleep, their hands remained intertwined.
Tight.
As if letting go was never an option. And at that point, many of the staff began to realize one thing. What they were seeing wasn't just closeness. This was something deeper. But there was one small detail, rarely talked about. They often took photos of each other. Not for the media, not for the public, just for themselves. Photos without filters, without poses, without scripts. Just honest moments that the world might never see. And maybe that was the most real part of all. But every journey must come to an end. As the plane began to descend, the atmosphere shifted again. Colder, quieter. They slowly pulled apart. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Clothes adjusted, expressions controlled, roles put back on. But before the doors opened, there was always one last moment. A glance. Brief but deep. A hand squeeze beneath the table.
Quick. Hidden.
But meaningful. As if to say, this isn't over. And the moment the doors opened, they became who the world knows again. Professional,
Perfect.
untouchable. But only a few people know that behind all of that, there's another story. A story that exists above the clouds. A story that was never confirmed. And maybe never will be. So now the question is, if all of this is true, why has it never been openly talked about? And if this is just a rumor, why do so many details feel too real? Write your thoughts in the comments. Is this just coincidence or something more? The best comment will be pinned. And remember, this video is created for entertainment and personal interpretation, not confirmed facts. But here's something even more intriguing. According to the same insider, there was one flight that felt different from all the others. Not louder, not more obvious, but heavier, as if something unspoken was hanging in the air between them. That night, Taehyung didn't laugh as much, and Jungkook, he barely took his eyes off him. Every small movement, every glance, felt intentional. At one point, Taehyung looked out the window, quiet, distant, and without saying a word, Jungkook reached for his hand. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just gently, like it was something he had done 100 times before. Taehyung didn't pull away. He held on, tighter, and for a brief moment, everything else disappeared. No staff, no flight, no world outside, just the two of them. And whatever it was they were holding on to, the insider said, that was the moment they realized this wasn't about proximity anymore. This wasn't about habits. This was about presence, about choosing each other, even in silence, even when no one was supposed to notice. And maybe that's what makes this story so difficult to explain, because sometimes the quietest moments are the ones that say the most.